This movie begins with showing an advertisement that offers this type of insurance. The insurance company is called Aeon, which is an age donation program. People who want to live longer can buy age from donors who have matching DNA tests. Donors will get money according to how much age they donate. Thus, the recipient of the donor will become young, and the donor will become old, depending on how much age they donate. This company has more than 200,000 donors who donate part of their age. In a small house, a man named Max, who is an Aeon employee, is negotiating with a donor who is 18 years old. If the donor donates his age of 15 years, then the reward he gets is 700,000 euros. Max then persuades the donor's parents by saying that with 700,000 euros they can get out of poverty and get a visa to return to their country or get their citizenship. Max also said that he was also a donor when he was 18 years old and donated his age of 5 years, and the money was used for college. After persuading for a long time, finally the man agreed. It turns out that Aeon's target to get age is the people from the lower class who need money. On the way to the office, Max was thrown by protesters who did not agree with the age donation. It turns out that Max is the best employee for this year. This made him able to shake hands directly with the CEO of Aeon named Sophie Thyssen. Sophie gave a speech that said that Aeon could make the scientists who were old young again, who would continue to make new breakthroughs in the world, switching to a clinic that shows several people who have finished receiving donor age and become young again. There is a professor who is a recipient of a donor who is consulting accompanied by a nurse. Suddenly the nurse shot the professor and everyone who had received donor age at Aeon. It turns out that the nurse is one of the members of ATOM, which is a group that hates Aeon's policy of donating age. The ATOM group considers what Aeon does is one of them because it treats humans like livestock, thus hindering the principle of equality. This case will be handled by Nowak, who is the operations manager in Berlin. Nowak will check the background of all Aeon employees who will be accompanied by Kaya, who is the head of Sophie's guard. Max has a wife named Elena who is a doctor. They live in a luxurious apartment that they are still paying off, but their life is very happy. The next day, Max and Elena went to visit Elena's parents in a small village. Elena's father did not agree with Aeon's policy. They think that this company has exploited human age, where the poor will die faster while the rich will get younger and more prosperous. But the debate between Elena's father and Max was stopped by Elena. Not long after they left, they were shocked when they arrived at their apartment and saw their apartment on fire. Their lawyer said that the fire was caused by a candle that was left burning, and the insurance company blamed Max and Elena for their negligence. The lawyer also said that the bank would sue for the remaining payment of the house, which was 2.5 million euros. Max said that the only asset they had was the apartment that had burned down. The lawyer said that they still had one more collateral that Max did not know about. It was Elena. Elena had pledged her entire life for the apartment. She was angry and said that she would also donate her life, but Max couldn't donate because the previous donor had died. And 2.5 million euros was equivalent to 40 years of life that had to be donated. As they left the building, Elena was suddenly arrested by the police for preventing her from fleeing abroad. Max tried to meet Sophie to borrow money from her and explain why he needed the money. Sophie asked Max to take care of her documents and said that she would try to arrange the loan. But after waiting for days, there was no news from Sophie. On the day of the reduction operation, Max wanted to visit Elena, but was forbidden because Elena would be operated on in 2 hours. Max was angry and tried to break in, but he failed to meet Elena. His plan was thwarted by security. Elena's operation began. When she arrived home, Elena looked very tired. The effects of the age donor operation began to show. Her hands and face were wrinkled. Max went to the office after getting news from his colleague. Instead of getting news about Elena's problem, Max got the news that he had been promoted to senior donation manager. Max was upset and went to see Sophie, but he realized that Sophie looked younger than usual. Elena and Max started arguing. Elena thought that Max felt sorry for her, and she had sacrificed herself while Max did not. And Elena then asked Max to leave. As he sat in a park, Max was approached by a girl who offered him tranquilizers like drugs, but Max drove the child away. Then the scene moved to the hospital. There were Max and Elena lying in bed. The doctor said that Elena was pregnant and the donation of 40 years of age caused her to miscarry. Max was surprised because he didn't know that Elena was pregnant. Max took Elena to his parents' house. As he sat in the park, Max saw a girl selling drugs to adults. He followed the child and found out that the child was a donor recipient, but not from Eon. Max wanted to ask for the contact of the person who did it. It turned out that the doctor's name was Dr. Berg, and Max had to contact him using an illegal phone. After crossing the city border, Max asked for a fake passport to meet Dr. Berg. Before leaving, Max had to kidnap Sophie to take her. It turned out that Sophie went to a funeral. Max carefully captured Sophie. Sophie tried to fight back, but her efforts were in vain. Max also left a trace at the funeral. Then Max went straight to see Elena. At first, Elena refused and asked Max to accept the situation. But when Max said he had found a solution, Elena followed Max. They went to an abandoned workshop and showed Sophie who had taken Elena's age. Elena refused to do Max's plan because it could endanger them in the future. But when Max showed his true face to Sophie and threatened Elena to go with him, or Max would go to jail for kidnapping Sophie, Elena could only be silent. On the other hand, the police were at the funeral for Sophie's case. It turned out that the sign left by Max was a picture of the Atom logo. But here Nowak said this was a modus operandi because if it was the Atom group, they would kill directly, not kidnap. Nowak also showed CCTV footage of a car that had followed Sophie since Sophie left the house. Nowak also got who the perpetrator and the perpetrator's location were. Nowak, Kaya, and their troops rushed to Max and Elena's location. Unfortunately, Elena and Max had already left the workshop. Now Elena and Max went to the port to cross the country. They hid Sophie in an icebox so as not to be suspected. When they approached the port, it turned out that they had been surrounded by Kaya and Nowak's troops who had previously tracked their whereabouts. But Max didn't run out of ideas. He threatened a family where the father was asked to bring Max's car, carrying an icebox containing Elena and Sophie. Meanwhile, the mother, the wife of the father, brought their car, which turned out to have Max pointing his gun at their child. Max's action went smoothly. Then Max continued the journey. Along the way, they tried to check Sophie's condition. Sophie said that she was not Sophie Thyssen, but she was Marie Thyssen, Sophie's daughter. But Max didn't believe it, because as far as he knew, Sophie only had one child who had died. But Sophie said that she was hidden by her mother for fear of something bad happening to her. Max didn't believe Sophie's words and said she was just bluffing. Elena, who was annoyed by Max's actions, asked for a place to rest for Sophie's sake too. In an abandoned hotel, Sophie asked again about the donation Elena made to her mother. Sophie also explained about Aeon and illegal donations similar to Eon, and said that she sided with Max where she did not agree with her mother's actions. Elena was very angry with Max because she was afraid that if it was true, Max had caught the wrong person. At that time, Sophie asked Max if he wanted to take a shower. But when Max was careless, Sophie then hit Max's head, took his phone, and ran out of the hotel. Sophie kept running while looking for a signal, but when she found the signal, she fell into the mud. Fortunately, Elena appeared in time and then accompanied Sophie to clean herself. Elena saw that Sophie had no scars from the operation. Now Elena was afraid they had kidnapped the wrong person. When they were sleeping, a group of armed men stormed in. They came from Atom, led by a woman named Lilith. She knew everything about Max, and that he used to be a donation manager for Eon. She also knew that Elena was a suitable donor for Sophie, but Max married her instead. She revealed that everything that happened to them had been planned by Sophie herself, and Max had indeed made a mistake by kidnapping Marie, Sophie's daughter. Suddenly, Dr. Berg, who operated on Elena, sent their location to Max, but his phone was already in Lilith's hands. Max had no time left. On the other hand, Nowak and Kaya found out Max's whereabouts and rushed to the location. Lilith used Max as bait to kill the real Sophie. Max walked out and said he wanted to meet Sophie Thyssen. Sophie came out and said she was ready to add 10 million euros to the deal, and Max could find a new donor later. But Max said he would still hold Marie until he returned his wife's life. Max asked Sophie to see Marie's condition in the warehouse, but suddenly Kaya said it was a trap and pointed a gun at Max. Nowak, who was supposed to shoot Max, instead pointed his gun at Sophie. Kaya shot back at Nowak, but with his last strength, Nowak shot Sophie again. A shootout ensued between Adam and Kaya's troops. Max tried to save Elena and Marie. When they got into the car, Marie pointed a gun at Elena and pulled the trigger, but the gun was empty. Elena was angry and hit Marie's head against the car until she passed out. Then they ran away. On the other hand, Adam lost. Kaya took Nowak's phone and called the last number Nowak contacted. It turned out that Nowak was an Adam spy on Kaya's team. Back to Max and Elena, who went to Dr. Berg's location. Elena, who previously did not want to do age donation, now decided to do it. She believed that her DNA would match Marie's DNA, and Marie could ask for her mother's DNA later. Max didn't want to sacrifice an innocent person, but Elena was determined to donate. She even asked Max to get out of the car. Elena arrived at the location specified by Dr. Berg. Age donation from Marie to Elena began. Now Marie met her mother, Sophie. Sophie didn't die because she wore a bulletproof vest. Kaya decided to quit her job at Eon. We also know that the one who burned Max in Elena's house and killed Max's donor recipient was Sophie's plan. Sophie wanted to get Elena's age for herself. Now Marie's face and body became wrinkled after Elena took her age. Sophie, who was selfish, said that she couldn't donate her age to Marie because she had other goals. She asked Sophie to be patient until she found a suitable donor. Time passed, and Elena was pregnant. Unfortunately, it was not Max's child. Elena had a new partner. Meanwhile, Max joined the Adam group and eradicated everyone who received age donation. And the movie ends. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. Because by subscribing, you have supported me to make better videos. See you in the next video.